Hey, welcome back to Subramaniam Shankaran. So finally, we have the first country to enact the AI to make artificial intelligence as a law. Okay, South Korea. So we started this particular month, January 2026, and we have 1 year for implementation. So nothing in the world is free of challenges. Okay, so they're not devoid of the challenges. We are taking the first step, and obviously, we are learning, okay, every day. So even the South Korean law, okay, there are a lot of challenges the people have put forth. Okay, let's see what actually they are. Let me share the screen with you. Done. Okay. So the South Korean AI Act, okay, the world's first AI Act. Okay, South Korean officially enacted framework act on development of artificial intelligence and establishment of trust, called as an AI Basic Act, which took effect on January 2022. Okay, so we are on what? We are on 29th. So last week on the same day, it came into effect. So January 21st, 2027, we have a time, okay, for implementation. Okay, in fact, it predates the requirement by the European Union AI Act. Okay, so which has got we are still we have got 2nd of August 2026 for the complaints. Okay, anyway, coming on this particular one. So this makes the as a country, okay, South Korea the first country to make artificial intelligence as a law. Okay, now it's good that they have it's a foresight people have thought about to regulate this particular industry, which none of the companies so far has even come forward. Okay, so there is a race between all the countries with respect to the artificial intelligence, but how many countries actually made it as law? Okay, to regulate this particular industry, no one. Okay, South Koreans have done it. Kudos to them. Good. Now there are a lot of challenges which people are putting forth. We will go through those challenges in this particular video. Nothing comes without challenges in life. Okay, we are learning. Even the AI is learning. Okay, during the training, testing, and validation, AI is also learning the feedback loop after the deployment. So we have got the law. We need to implement it. We are going to learn. Okay, what are the challenges? And the next version will be the improvised one, like any ISO. So 27,000, we had 2005, then 2013, then we have to 2022. Okay, we are also improving on this particular standard. So will every regulation. Okay. Now coming on this particular one. So three tiered regulatory categories: high impact AI, high performance AI, and generative AI. Okay. So there are 11 critical domains that have been identified as a part of high impact AI. And high performance is based on a computational threshold. Okay. We'll also discuss about this. The high impact AI, the 11 critical domains, okay, that we actually see, it's almost we are covering almost everything. Okay, that's what the people say. There is no clear cut segregation on what exactly it is, especially the last one. Okay, we'll look into that. Okay, Gen A. Obviously, we know we need to have a watermark. Okay, so that people can understand it's AI generated, but there are also tools that can remove the watermark. Where there's one of the concerns that the people are actually putting forth. Yeah. So extra territorial reach and the local representation, like the GDPR. Okay, so if you're going to have do the business, in South Korea, and you're an foreign organization, you need to have a representative organization, like the GDPR says. You need to have a representative organization in the country. So the South Koreans are saying the domestic representation, okay, should be there. If the total revenue exceeds 1 trillion Korean won, or AI specific revenues exceeding 10 billion Korean won, or more than 1 million daily users in Korea. Okay, so if they meet the specific threshold, either one of them or everything or two of them, whatever it is. Okay, you need to have a representative organization. The chief AI officer should represent the organization. Okay, staying in South Korea. Okay, it should being a part of the South Korean organization rather. Yeah. So this is the institutional control tower. The highest authority is the National AI Committee, and we have AI Safety Research Institute, tasked with risk analysis, safety evaluations, and developing national standards. Regulatory enforcement level. Okay, so Ministry of Science and ICT is authorized to conduct the fact-finding inspection. Okay, so issue suspension or corrective orders against non-compliant companies, impose administrative fines up to Korean won 330 million. Okay, so they are. You can go to they have the Ministry of Science and ICT, Ministry of Science and Technology. Okay, is authorized to do all this. And the next level higher, okay, is the Safety Research Institute. and the topmost authority is the AI committee. Okay, like a governance committee, they're going to control the how the AI is regulated within South Korea. The bottommost is the policy center, focusing on the industrial growth. Okay, professional training and global cooperation, blah blah blah. So they are somebody whom we can approach. Okay, so what they actually say, if you're not really understanding how to do the implementation, okay, until 21st of January 2027, you can approach Ministry of IT, Science and Information Technology, who will support you in that particular journey. Okay, that's very good. In fact, the supervisory authorities for the GDPR, they're also the organization whom you can approach to see if if you want any advisors. Okay, advisory. They also to do the advisory role. Okay, guiding you to implement GDPR. I'm sorry, my throat is not good today. Now there's a penalty cap, like how the GDPR says. There's a penalty of 25 million euros or 4% of the global turnover, or the European Union AI Act says, okay, 35 million euros or 7% of the global turnover. There is no percentage of global turnover here. It is there 30 million Korean won. Okay, so it's the highest, highest penalty. Now this is also being discussed as something which is a bit of a challenge. Okay, we'll discuss about that. So innovation incentives. Law mandates government support for AI data centers, funding, special assistance. Okay, like every government, they also support. Okay, the startups. Okay, the startup challenge is different. Okay, the grace period. Okay, to minimize disruption, 1 year grace period is actually provided. Okay, as of now, high impact. So this 11 critical subdomains, healthcare and medical services. Obviously, okay, obviously, yesterday we had a video on automation bias. Okay, there was the first of the automation bias is where the healthcare industry is using the AI, and they're biased, or they're just truly the erosion of the critical thinking. They blindly believe okay what the AI application is actually saying. Okay, now the healthcare and medical sciences is the first critical thing that you need to regulate, followed by the BFSI. Okay, as a finance vertical, obviously they both are highly regulated environment. Okay, in the world. Okay, highly regulated. When it's a highly regulated, every country has got a law. Okay, to govern this both the verticals. Employment and recruitment follows the next. Okay, so you've got the commissions, state commissions, employee commissions in every country. Public infrastructure, critical infrastructure, management of electricity, transportation, safety and operation of traffic system, public sector administration, government agencies using the AI, law enforcement. Okay, but the Korean AI law has not gone to the extent of banning the the CCTV camera used in the public area, etc. Okay. Education, evaluation of students in the early childhood, elementary and secondary education using AI, legal department, democratic purposes using the elections, essential services. Okay, AI is used in identifying the individuals who are managing the access to the essential public utilities not covered in other categories. Okay, so this becomes a very general area. Okay, people are still not very clear on what you mean by essential services. Okay, mandatory obligation of the operators. Explainability. Okay, so explainable AI is what we actually say. Explainability by design, explainability by default, transparency by design, transparency by default, fairness by design, fairness by default. I would say governance by design, governance by default. Okay, which caters to all the 7 verticals and 3 horizontals as a part of the AI governance. So explainability, we need to be in a position to tell why the AI application has given this particular output. Human oversight, human in loop, on the loop, and human command. So none of the applications, okay, especially public facing, okay, should be giving out yes or no, approval, rejection, okay, without the human intervention. Okay, it's called the human oversight. Human oversight is required for most of the even embodied AI or physical AI, what we call it as. Okay, human intervention is actually required. Okay, to avoid a lot of problems. Okay, with respect to the safety as well. Advanced notification. Operators must notify the users before deployment. Okay, like a transparency. Okay, you need to be transparent to the users saying that we are using an AI application. Risk management. Okay, we have got ISO standard of the risk management. The other one is NIST ARMF. For the moment, we need to use this, but I would rather say the risk management, it's a very big umbrella. Okay, because if you look at the 7 verticals in AI, okay, the human agency, okay, the transparency, accountability, robustness, okay, and then privacy and data governance, impact to the society, and all these things. Okay, so we need to ensure that we need to ensure these risks are also addressed. Okay, similarly, lawful AI, ethical AI, okay, and then robust AI, okay, covering up the entire spectrum of the trustworthy AI. ISO 42001 also touches upon the risk, and there's separate ISO standard, which I'll mention is 22839, I guess, which is also an the risk management guideline from the ISO, and NIST AI RMF is also there. Okay, but apart from all this, okay, and now if you look at the governance part of the AI, it's a broader spectrum. Okay, in fact, the IT risk and security and privacy risk becomes a subset when we adopt to an AI. Okay, so that's why the European Union AI Act is saying 35 million, 35 million euros. Okay, as a penalty. Okay, impact assessment. There is a guideline called ISO 42005, which does the AI impact assessment. Impact of the AI to the society. Okay, so the bias, discrimination, and all these things will be discussed here. Preliminary review. The operators must self-assess and qualify as a high impact before deployment. If they are not certain whether they qualify for a high impact, etc., okay, they can always consult the Ministry of Science and ICT. Okay, so they'll be in a position to guide you. Enforcement, we discussed about the penalty, 30 million won. Okay, if you failure to comply with this obligation, such as failing to notify the users or violating the safety of the user. Grace period is 1 year, starting 22nd of January 2026 to 21st of January 2027. Okay, and as of now, they might extend it or not. We actually don't know. High performance GI, it all depends upon that's a high impact. It's called high performance. When the European Union AI Act has classified the system based on unacceptable risk, okay, then high risk, limited risk, and minimal risk. The South Koreans have classified that high impact, high performance, and generative AI. Okay. So technical threshold where the computation power is more than 10 to the power of 26, we call that as an high performance. Okay. So the core obligation for the operators, you need to follow the life cycle management. So we have the data ingestion stage. Now, what is the risk there? Training, testing, and validation. What is the risk in training, testing, and validation? What is the risk after the deployment? What is the risk in maintenance and monitoring? What is the risk in decommissioning? Okay, decommissioning definitely has a risk because if you're going to be governed by the data retention policy, okay, so whether you can decommission or not, because the data set is not something that you can delete and say that the data is not available with us. There's a learning that is done by the AI model from the data set. Okay, so how can you forget that? Okay, this is actually called the model disgorgement. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the life cycle risk management is a multifaceted. Okay, it is not like a normal risk that we actually face in IT and IT security data protection. No, AI risk is a different monster altogether. So mandated reporting. Companies must establish a formal risk management system, reports and implementation results, and safety measures to Ministry of Science and ICT. User protection. Specific code protocol must be documented, maintained to protect the users from potential runaway unpredictable output of a highly complex environment. This is where the human in loop comes into the picture. The key distinction from the high impact AI is regulated based on where it is used, and high performance regulated on how big it is. I'm sorry, how big it is. Okay. Enforcement role we had seen. Immediate legal status as of January 2026, 22nd of January 2020, the law is enforced. Okay, that means South Korea is going to follow this. Okay, and how successful they will follow it? A success will definitely be achieved. Okay, but whether it is achievable within a year's time and what is the effort that needs to be put in is a big question. Okay, identify the classification, implement the transparency, and designate a representative. Ideally, you should have a certified chief AI officer as a part of the organization who can be a single point of contact for the AI council to reach out for any specific query, like a data protection officer for GDPR, and then CISO. Okay, CISO for an information security. Okay, grace period 1 year, no active fines, exceptions. Fines or inspections may still occur during this grace period if there is a severe human rights violation. Okay, like what we saw as a block obscene contents. Okay, that has been circulated, they have been generated. Okay, by this LLM application. That particular case, definitely there'll be a penalty. There are a lot of countries who are considering blocking this particular application, or it's been debated. Okay, so we need to know what's going to happen. Okay, with all this. Compliance action plan. What to do now? Audit the AI system. Where are we? Review the governance and check the threshold. Okay, if you are a foreign entity, confirm you meet 1 trillion Korean won revenue, or 1 million daily users, okay, then you need to comply with it, or you need to have a representative organization, okay, in South Korea. So prepare the documentation, okay. So documentation is administrative control. So people, process, and technology. For all this, the documentation is going to tell you, guide you for achieving it. Requirements, transparency and labeling. Okay, so be transparent to the end user. Transparency is also one of the verticals for the governance. You need to confirm with it and then label, okay, whatsoever is going to be a high impact application. High impact oversight, human in loop. Okay, so none of the decisions that are made by the AI application should be should be coming without a human approval. Okay, high performance AI, okay, and explainability. So systems exceeding the computational threshold of 10 to the power of 26. Okay, subjected to a stricter safety obligation. Explainability, explainable AI. Okay, IBM Fairness 360, what if from the Google, all these things you can actually engage. Enforcement penalties. Okay, we have discussed about this. Now, if you look at the global standard, the European Union AI Act is the only available standard as of now, fully effective as of 22nd of January 2026. Okay, but phased implementation through 2027 is what the European Union AI Act is. Philosophy is minimum regulation for the South Korean AI. Okay, precautionary risk base for European AI. Okay, AI Act. Penalties up to 30 million won. Here up to 7% of global turnover. Prohibitions, no explicit ban on AI specific types. Ban specific users, social scoring, etc. This is what is causing a problem. So what is banned? What is not banned? There is actually a confusion. Key challenges, though, the first country to enact this particular act. Primary challenge, there are a lot of primary challenges. Resource constraint. 98% of the Korean AI startup does not have the manpower. And what they say, the AI Council has got only 14 people. Is this enough to regulate for the complete country? Yes or no, depending upon, because we have just started it, okay, just 1 week. We cannot judge, okay, we need to give it a time, okay, for them to prove it, okay. Becomes a case study for the other countries to allow follows take the similar initiative enacting the AI. So innovation stagnation. Founders fear the vague language regarding high impact AI may force them to adopt overly cautious strategy, potentially slowing down the development. Yes or no? Okay, so it all depends upon what we are trying to develop. Watermarking efficiency, though you can watermark the AI generated content, but again there are tools that can remove the strip of the watermarking. So what are we going to do about that? A big question mark. Jurisdictional asymmetry. When the foreign firms must appoint a domestic representative, global models trained and hosted abroad are harder to be monitored. Okay, that means I'm using a model that is trained on the data, okay, which is in US, and I'm going to use it in South Korea. So how are we going to manage this situation? Okay. So that means that you need to train the model or the algorithm on the local data and generate a model. Then that'll be almost like reinventing the cycle, reinventing the wheel. Staffing shortages. AI Safety Research Institute has launched with only 14, not AI Council. AI Safety Research Institute with only 14 staff, despite being tasked the complex safety evaluation. Is it okay? Not okay? Okay, time has to answer. Overlapping jurisdiction. Organizations must navigate a dual regulatory structure between Ministry of Science and IT and Personal Information Protection Commission. Okay, regarding the privacy. Okay, now this is same with every country. Okay, for example, even with the GDPR, we got supervisory authority. We also have European Union AI board. Okay, it all depends upon where exactly the problem is. Okay, that's why the penalties are also higher with respect to the AI, because the privacy and data governance is one of the pillars of the AI. Okay. Broad definition. Critics argue the definition of AI system is too broad, potentially sweeping in traditional, okay, software programs and statistical model to do not to pose a novel risk. Yesterday, when we in a video about this automation bias, okay, we discussed about one IT solution, okay, which happened in the UK. I forgot that solution's name. Okay, there was a bias and that impacted 700 sub postmasters. A lot of people were taken for the legal speed, and 9 committed suicide. There were a lot of penalties, but it is proved that there was a bias in the application. Now, this system was not an AI system; it's an IT system. But still, okay, the bias was the automation bias. That means people started over relying on the IT system. Okay, so that could be that was the reason. Now, when I say AI system, they're saying it is also overlapping the normal traditional software program statistical models that do not pose a novel risk. Okay, so we need to have a mature dealing with this. Subjective criteria, terms like meaningful explanation for high impact AI outcomes lack precise technical benchmark. What is meaningful? It is like saying impact is high, but how do you quantify that? Okay. Lack of prohibitions. Unlike European Union AI Act, South Korean law does not explicitly prohibit any AI practices, okay, like social scoring, etc., which the CISOs or AIOs are argued failed to protect the citizen from potential state or corporate surveillance. Okay, next is the national security exemption. AI used for defense and national security is exempt from the law, raising concerns about the lack of oversight in sensitive public sector okay applications. But this is yes or no in line with national security. Okay, supposedly if the terrorist is hiding in a particular locality, I will not seek an the warrant to arrest him, right? Search warrant to search. I need to search because it's like securing the saving the society from the terrorist attack, right? So similarly, in case of an AI also, in AI to be used in defense and in line with the national security, there's an exemption. Okay, there's always an exemption. Okay, this is something that we need to accept. Okay, you cannot question the government. Okay, if that is not there, there's a danger to the society. The government is actually implementing it to secure the citizen. Okay. Now, these challenges are posed by the South Korean AI law. That is on one side, but the other side, the first country to take over to enact AI enact AI in their country. Okay. So this is something which we need to appreciate it. Every country will follow it, but we will also learn from what the South Koreans are doing. Okay, we'll also learn how the people are going to implement the European Union AI Act summer 2026. Okay, so this year we have the UK also coming up with the AI Act. Okay, so let's wait and watch what is actually happening. But this is a must that every country need to adopt to. Okay, thank you and congratulations to South Koreans again. Okay, so wish you good luck and subscribe to my channel for regular news on artificial intelligence. Cheers, bye bye.